Hello, my wonderful friends. Welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name's Elena. I love all things makeup and beauty, and today's video is going to be my top 10 favorite palettes of all time. So if you want to see what they are, then definitely keep on watching. So these palettes are in no particular order, and we're going to start out with the Mandalorian palette from ColourPop, and this is such a beautiful palette. It is a very grungy, dark toned palette, but the quality of it is so good. Like, I feel like this is one of ColourPop's best quality that they have done. And the color story really does represent the outer packaging. And if you just want a smoky look, but you want something affordable, you want something that's really easy to work with, I would definitely highly recommend this palette. This palette is still available. All these palettes I am going to be talking about is still available. So if you want to get your hands on them, you still can. But I really think this is such a good palette. As I said, the color story, and it's just so workable. I feel like ColourPop, for the majority of the time, they are workable with their formula and quality. Now, some palettes are a little iffy, but this one has definitely been a favorite of mine for a long time. This was actually the first ColourPop palette I ever got, and I don't have any regrets with that. But this is such a good one. As I said, if you just want a smoky toned palette, but you don't really want to put a lot of effort in it, if you're not the best at makeup yet, this is definitely beginner friendly, so yes. And the next palette we have is from Adept Cosmetics. It is a collaboration with Heather Austin, and if you've been on my channel, you know I love this palette so much. I have hit pan in 3 shades, and this is such a good palette. Now, I know some people are iffy about the Adept Cosmetics formula, but I feel like this one has, you know, different formulas in it with the shimmers. So we have the smooth shimmers, we have a little bit of flaky shimmers, but they're not bad. If you spray your brush, definitely won't get any fallout, or you will get minimum fallout, and the mattes in here are really good. I feel like this was such a good palette. It was curated perfectly. Heather Austin did such a good job with this, and I think you really should try this palette. If you want to start out with an Adept palette and you're not so sure what to start out with, I would highly recommend this. As I said, some people are iffy about the shimmers in Adept Cosmetics, but I feel like this one is actually a really good one. So we have about 2 shimmers that are more of the smooth ones, this one and this one. The rest are flaky, I guess, but they're not really flaky. If you spray your brush, you won't get too much fallout. So yeah, and as I said, the mattes are so good. So yeah, I would definitely highly recommend this palette if you're just starting out and you're like, hey, I want to try Adept Cosmetics. Definitely try this palette. So yeah, this is the Heather Austin and Adept Cosmetics collab palette. Next, we have the Hunter and Prey palette from Blair Dale MUA Cosmetics. This is a new brand, and he does such an amazing job with all of his releases. He has had 3 releases so far, 2 palettes and 1 lip oil or lip oils, and this was his first palette. And let me tell you, for like his first palette, I think he rocked it. This is the color story. It is a grungy color story. Now, it is a little darker grungy color story, and there is a red in here. I'm not much of a red fan, but as I told you, he did such a good job. This palette, when I first used it, I was like, what the heck? I thought the formula was like no other formula I've ever tried before. Like, it was pigmented, it was blendable, and yes, I love my indie palettes, and I think they are all perfect, but this one, for the first palette he's ever done, I think he did an amazing job. Now, this is still in stock as of right now, but it will be discontinued, so if you want to get your hands on it, I would highly recommend it. He did such a good job, and I can't wait to get more palettes from him. Like, he has a purple type of palette that just came out, and then he got some lip oils that just recently came out. And as I said, if you really want to try a good indie brand and you want to support somebody who has their own indie brand, I definitely highly recommend this. He also has an Instagram, so if you want to check that out, that would be great. But as I said, this palette just blew me away. And he's such a good person also. He's so friendly. So yeah. Next we have the Natasha Denona Yucca palette, and this comes to no surprise for anybody if you've been here on my channel for a while now. If you know, you know. I love this palette so much. It is my #1 favorite palette in my whole entire collection, and I think Natasha Denona did such a good job with this palette. Yes, people would say this is neutral, but I feel like it has color to it also. And the quality of this is one of the best I have ever tried from her. Now, I do have quite a bit of palettes from her, but with all the palettes that I have tried, I think this is the best one. I don't know, just something about this palette just made it perform well. I don't know if Natasha Denona did something different with this palette or what, but let me tell you, it's a super good palette. Now, I think if you want to try out with neutrals, I think you can maybe start out with this palette. If you want to try out neutrals with a pop of color, I would highly recommend this. Now, it is a little bit on the pricier side. It is $69, but I don't mind it. I think it's worth the $69, to be honest with you. And Natasha Denona has came out with a lot of palettes in her career. And like I said, I think this is the best one she came out with. And the outer packaging is actually really nice. It's not that type of one where you get your hands, where it shows your handprints. It's like a rubber smooth type of texture. And I think it's very beautiful too. Like the tie-dye part, absolutely stunning. So if you want to try a Natasha Denona palette and you're not so sure which one to try, but you want a neutral with a pop color, I'd highly recommend this. Next palette we have is the new Nude palette from Huda Beauty, and this is the first palette I ever tried from Huda Beauty, and I did get this from a friend, and let me tell you, I wasn't so sure about Huda Beauty at first, but this palette, oh my goodness, is chef's kiss for sure. Now, there are some pressed glitters in here, but I don't mind the pressed glitters. I'm a pressed glitter person, so I don't really mind them. I know some people don't like pressed glitters, or majority of people don't, but these aren't really bad. Now, they are a little gritty, but overall, the palette itself is really good. It's very workable. Like I said, I wasn't so sure on Huda Beauty just because I heard mixed reviews about them, but I tried this palette and I was like, dang, like this is really good. I might have to try more from her. Now, I know she is discontinuing or not doing any bigger palettes anymore, but we'll actually see if she does, you know. She says she's not going to, but we'll see. But the shimmers in here, like the foiled shimmers, are super nice. The mattes were like, so good. And this is a high-end brand, but definitely worth the price, I feel like. Now, as I said, this is the only thing I've tried from Huda Beauty, so I cannot say for sure if anything else is really good or anything else is really bad. And all of these are my personal, opinion. But as I said, a lot of people like this stuff. The stuff I have here are not just my opinion that people really liked. It's a lot of my friends, a lot of people in the beauty community. So yeah, I really like this palette. I definitely want to try more from Huda Beauty. I'm not so sure which one I want to try. And also the insert she has, they're also beautiful. So yeah, I definitely want to try more, but I'm just not so sure. So if you have any recommendations, you can totally put them in the comments down below. But I highly recommend this palette if you're just starting out with the Huda Beauty palette and you're not so sure. But most of her things are neutral, so you don't really have to worry about color. But I really like that. Really like this. So yes. Next we have the Stone and Rock palette from Odin's Eye. And this is such a gorgeous palette. Now, I really do enjoy Odin's Eye formula. Most of the palettes I've tried are really, really good. Some palettes are better than other, but this one is really nice. I think this one was curated really nice. I think the formula, the quality of it is outstanding. Now, I know Odin's Eye is a hit or miss with some people. Some people like them, some people don't. But I think if you really want to try a palette from them and you want a grungy tone palette, I would highly recommend this palette. Like I said, the quality performs really well. The shimmers are very beautiful. The mattes blend very well. And Oden's Eye has came out with so many things. And I mean, I have a lot of palettes from them. So, and this is my #1 palette from them. I really think this was just a really good palette. And there, I don't know. Like, there is a duochrome right here. I might be showing you as green, but it does turn into blue. And I think Oden's Eye duochromes / multichromes are the best. Now, we do have some foiled, and then we do have some smooth shades, just like Adept Cosmetics. But overall, everything I just love. I really love this palette. I'd highly recommend it. Now, it did come with another palette. It was like a collection. It's called the Jewels and Gems. And I've been wanting to get my hands on that palette. Not so sure quite yet. But I really think you should try this one. If you really want to try the good Oden's Eye formula, highly recommend this. Next palette is from ColourPop x Stranger Things. And I think this is such a good collab. I love Stranger Things so much. So when I saw this, I was like, definitely gonna get my hands on it. If you know me though, I don't like keeping the outer cartons, but this was just too cool not to keep. And then inside we have the palette. And this is what the outside packaging looks like. It's super nice. We have the upside down with them riding the bikes. I think it's super cute. And then we have the Demogorgon right here, and then we have the eyeshadows. And I think this palette really represents the Stranger Things very well. We have the Hawkins color story, we have the upside down color story, and I really think they just curated this really nice. I feel like ColourPop, when they do their collabs, they do them well. Now, some collabs aren't the best, but I think majority of the collabs overall are the most best seller things that they sell. And this one was definitely, I was like, definitely have to have my hands on it. Such a beautiful formula also. It's very workable. I will tell you though, there are some pressed glitters in here. And I know people don't like the ColourPop pressed glitters, but I don't mind them. As I said, I am a glitter person. But I think this was really nice. I think that the shimmers are really nice. We have like more smooth shimmers, we have more flaky shimmers, and then of course we have the glitters. But the mattes also are really nice. They're blendable, they don't patch on you. I just really like this. And I think if you want a good Stranger Things collaboration with a makeup brand, I would highly recommend this. Now, I don't even know if any makeup brand has came out with any Stranger Things collaborations. I know MAC did a while ago, but I have no idea if they still have it. But as I said, this is such a good palette. So yes. Next palette is from Nomad Cosmetics. It is the Polar Express palette. And yes, I do have it in the outer carton. That probably means because the outer carton is cool. And it is. So when you open up the palette, trying to open it up, you know. So basically you open it up, you see this, and then you slide it out. And then voila, you have this. And I think it's just super cute. And then we have the color story. And I did receive this in PR, and I just want to thank Nomad so much for that. It's a dream of mine to be on Nomad's PR list, so I was very thankful for that. But this is the color story. It's neutral, but with a pop of color. And I really thought they did this really good. I thought that the shimmers were really nice. I thought the mattes were really nice. I love Nomad's formula. I have quite a bit of palettes from them. And they do have a duochrome right here. Looks purple to me. It might look blue to you. I'm not so sure. But as I said, I really like this palette. And I think they just curated this so well. And they have came out with other palettes after this palette. And let me tell you, those palettes look super, super beautiful. Now, I didn't get my hands on them quite yet, but I'm hoping to. But as I said, I think Nomad is a wonderful brand. They are so kind. The owners are so kind. And I don't know, I fell in love with them because they were the first brand that actually ever commented on one of my YouTube videos. So yeah, so I would highly recommend this palette if you want to try Nomad Cosmetics, but you're not much of a color person, this would be the palette for you. Next palette is another Nomad Cosmetics palette, and it's the Ghost Town USA palette, and it is in a lenticular packaging. Let me go ahead and show you. So yeah, we have like the ghost part, then we have the light part, and this palette is amazing. Now, as of right now, you can still get your hands on it, but they are going to go ahead and discontinue it. But this is what mine looks like. Yeah, mine looks very used. I have pans in 4 shades, and I really enjoyed this palette. Now, I will tell you though, some of the shimmers are a little putty. They're a little soft to press, so just be careful when you pick them up. But I thought the mattes on this performed very, very well. I had no issues with this palette. It's a cool tone type of palette. And as I said, this is just one of my favorites. I really love this palette. This was probably my second palette I got from Nomad, and this is really what got me into the brand. I think this palette was like a wake-up call for me for the brand, and I just really enjoy this palette. I think it's just super, super beautiful. We have the green tones, the blue tones, and the neutral tones. I think you can really do anything with this. If you're a person that loves neutral but color, I think you can really just use this palette for any of that. So yeah, I really love this palette. Like I said, they are going to go ahead and discontinue it, but it is available as of right now. But I really love it. I think I would highly recommend it if you want to try Nomad Cosmetics. As like Polar Express palette, it's really nice. But also if you just want a cool tone palette, definitely suggest this one. And then the last palette is from ColourPop. It's a mood palette, and I've been wanting this palette for so long, and my best friend gifted to me this, and I was so thankful for that. And this is what the palette looks like. It is a jeweled tone type of palette, and I think this is probably the best palette that ColourPop has ever done. Now, you know me, I have quite a bit of ColourPop palettes in my collection, but this one is just top notch. Now, I think for like ColourPop, I feel like the mega palettes, like the bigger palettes, really are good. Like, I feel like the formula is a little different than their normal size palettes. That's just my opinion. But all the mega palettes I have tried, I thought they were really, really nice. Now, this is more of a colorful palette, but we do have some neutrals in it. And as I said, this is my favorite, and it is very, very workable. And it does have some pressed glitters in it, but I think the pressed glitters in this is actually my favorite. To be honest with you, they're not too flaky. They don't, you know, smear everywhere when you take off your makeup. They don't get in your eye. But yeah, I really love this palette. It has many different formulas in this. It has the shimmer, like type of matte, like the glitter that's in the matte. It has just mattes. It has shimmers. It has just glitters. It's everything. And I think, like I said, the color story, I feel like it just has every color that you need. Now, of course, it's not a rainbow palette, but if you really like a jewel tone palette, highly recommend this palette. I am not disappointed for getting this palette. I always wanted this palette. I got my hands on it, and it did not disappoint. So, yes. So that is it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you want to leave a thumbs up, I totally do. If you want to subscribe, that would be very helpful. But till then, I will be back with a lot more makeup content. You guys stay beautiful, stay healthy, and stay safe. Bye.